there. And so today I want to talk about this being extraordinarily ordinary. And I know you're like, well, that kind of is an odd topic. And I was like, yeah, as I was writing this, I thought several times, trust me, I was like, I don't even know if this makes any sense at all. This doesn't make any sense. But you know what? God gave me this word, and I'm just going to run with it. And I thought, when we look at the early church, oftentimes I look at their lives and I look at the things they've done, and yes, there were some like extraordinary things that they've done, but I'm looking at them and I'm like, but these are just ordinary people. They were ordinary people with ordinary lives, but yet here God chose them to do extraordinary things. And I look at, you fast forward it to now, and I look at it and go, sometimes being ordinary is being extraordinary. Like, for instance, we were doing youth group this last week, and I had two teenagers come up front. And I said, I'm going to give you 3 minutes to become friends. Go. And I don't know if you've ever seen teenagers without phones, but they're like, what? 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 And so they start like trying to hurry up and figure out, how do I have a conversation with this person? And so it's interesting just to watch, and I think sometimes that's us. Like, we have forgot the very basics of what it means to be a Christian. Like, we have the head knowledge, but when it comes to doing it, when it comes to living it out, that becomes a different story. And so I think a lot of times nowadays, we can be extraordinarily ordinary and do great, amazing things. And so that's where I want to go with today. And because I'm sitting there thinking this whole week, I was like, what kind of person can I be to start a revival for Jesus? And like, I'm not talking like a church revival. Like, I'm talking like a nation revival. Like, what kind of person does that take? What type of person does it take to start a revolution for Jesus? And then, I don't know if you guys ever get this way, but then I start going, well, Jared, if you did this better, and you did that better, and you did more of this, and you did this, and you did this, and you did this, and before long, I'm looking at everything, I'm like, I am such a loser. Like, I am such a loser, like, I feel like I should be doing more. I should be doing more of this. I can sacrifice more time here and there and all this. And I should just be able to do more. And then I was at a hospital this week, and I found out that, it's not necessarily more is what I need. I need to think of the little things that have a big impact. And so if you would go and turn your Bibles with me to John chapter 4, that's where we're going to get started today. Because I think when we think about being extraordinarily ordinary, we got to think of course, Jesus. And I think in order to do that, we have to look and see that we have to take initiative. We have to take initiative. And so John chapter 4, we're going to be in verse 4. Actually, I'm just going to start it at 4:1. So John chapter 4, verse 1, of course, is the woman of Samaria. And it starts out like this. Now, when Jesus learned that the Pharisees had heard that Jesus was making and baptizing more disciples than John, although Jesus himself did not baptize, but only his disciples, he left Judea and departed again for Galilee. And he had to pass through Samaria. So he came to a town of Samaria near the field that Jacob had given to his son Joseph. Jacob's well was there. So Jesus, wearied or tired, as he was from his journey, was sitting beside the well. It was about the 6th hour. A woman of Samaria came to draw water. Jesus said to her, "Give me a drink," for his disciples had gone away into the city to buy food. The Samaritan woman said to him, "How is it that you, a Jew, ask for a drink from me, a woman of Samaria? For Jews had no dealings with Samaritans." Jesus answered her, "If you knew the gift of God and who it is that is saying to you, 'Give me a drink,' you would have asked him, and he would have given you living water." The woman said to him, "Sir, you have nothing to draw the water with, and the well is very deep. Where do you get that living water? Are you greater than our father Jacob? He gave us the well and drank from it himself, as did his sons and his livestock." And Jesus said to her, "Everyone who drinks of this water will be thirsty again. But whoever drinks of the water that I will give will never be thirsty again. The water that I will give will become in him a spring of water welling up in eternal life." The woman said to him, "Sir, give me this water so that I may not be thirsty or have to come here to draw water." Jesus said to her, "Go, call your husband and come here." The woman answered him, "I have no husband." Jesus said to her, "You are right and saying, I have no husband, for you have had 5 husbands, and the one you now have is not your husband. What you have said is true. The woman said, Sir, I perceive that you are a prophet. Our fathers worshipped on this mountain, but you say that in Jerusalem is the place where people ought to worship. Jesus said to her, Woman, believe me, in the hour that is coming, when neither on this mountain nor in Jerusalem will you worship the Father. You will worship that you do not know. We worship what we know, for salvation is from the Jews. And so it's interesting was we see that Jesus is talking to the Samaritan woman, and he takes this initiative to talk to her. And you have to understand the cultural reference here is that was unheard of. That was uncalled for. Like, they just didn't do that. You know, a man talking to a Samaritan woman, a Jewish man talking to a Samaritan woman, that was so not right. Like, in the culture there, no, that does not happen. But here Jesus is taking the initiative, not only taking the initiative with her, but you see this conversation start. And Jesus starts talking to her and hinting at who he is. And you see her talking with Jesus, and she's like, you know, she's still thinking he's talking about the water in the well. And he's like, no, listen, like, I got something bigger than that. I got something bigger than just this water in the well. I have the living water. Because here's the thing, is often things that we go after, guess what? We're just going to want more of. We're just going to want more of that, right? Like, if we really stop and think about it, and we're honest, like, there's no set amount of money that's ever going to bring us happiness and joy. Because there's always going to be more of it somewhere. There's always going to be something else, something more. But what Jesus is saying is, hey, I have this living water. You'll never be thirsty ever again. Because this is what I have to offer you. This is what I have to bring to you. But he takes this initiative to talk to her. And the thing that I love here is you look in verse 14, Jesus is talking about himself in this everlasting relief. And let me ask you this. How many people know anyone who's suffering? Right? Like, most of us know someone who's suffering. And Jesus is saying, hey, you know someone who's suffering? Tell them about me. Tell them that they don't have to suffer alone. Tell them they're not in this by themselves. That I'm there for them. That I want to be there with them. They don't have to go through this suffering alone. And the other thing I love is how many of us have ever been tired? Right? Like, me and Jimmy were just talking about this back there. We're like, man, we're tired. You know, and it says that Jesus was wearied and he was tired. And here's the thing, is you didn't see Jesus just kick back and be like, sorry, I don't have time to talk to you today. I'm kind of tired. And we're like, well, you know, most of us go, well, you know, Jared, that's Jesus, and I'm not Jesus. You're right, thank goodness. Like, because if I was following you, like, or if you were following me, we would just crash and burn right there. But here's the thing, but Jesus calls you to do things, and he calls you to take this initiative to talk to people. How easy is it to invite somebody to church? Super easy, right? Now, this is going to hurt. I just want to forewarn you. This is going to hurt. It's so easy that most of us don't even do it. That's how easy it is. It's so easy that most of us don't even worry about doing it. And so Jesus talks about this being extraordinary, ordinary, but you have to take the initiative. You have to take the initiative as you see Jesus sitting here with this woman who he knows is in sin. And you don't see Jesus say, hey, I don't know if you know this or not, but if you get your life straightened out, then you can come back and talk to me, and then we'll talk about living water. Like, he didn't smack her in the face with it. He didn't say, hey, once you get your life cleaned up, hey, once you do everything right, then you can come and have the privilege to talk to me. I mean, we're talking about Jesus, the Son of God, the perfect man. And there he is, sitting by a well, talking to the Samaritan woman. Talking to the Samaritan woman. And so I think we have to start, as Christians, taking the initiative. We have to start taking the initiative. This is why the model of you come to me doesn't work. It doesn't work. Because here's why. Is people want you to take the initiative. They want you to come. They want you to talk to them. Not this, hey, if you come over here and then you can talk. That doesn't work. They need you to take the initiative to get up and start walking to them. And then in verse 39 and 42, many Samaritans believed the testimony not because she done awesome things, but because she was humble enough to tell her story of meeting Jesus. Of meeting Jesus. People don't need us to be perfect. They need us to be real. That's what they need, is they need us to be real. Look at that. Like, she didn't do anything extraordinary. She just simply went back and told the people of her interaction with Jesus. Now, again, I know we've talked about testimonies in the past, but we've got to be open with people and be like, you know what, let me tell you about my interaction, my meeting with Jesus. And it's not to say how great you are, it's not to say how perfect you are. It has everything to do with Jesus, right? Has nothing to do with us, has everything to do with, we're going to get there. Nothing to do with us, everything to do with, there we go, right? Like, if we just kept that in our mindset the whole time, like, this has nothing to do with me, this has everything to do with Jesus. And Jesus would take the initiative. He would take the initiative to talk to somebody else. He would talk to somebody that he knew was in sin. He would take the initiative that even if it was against the culture, against what his friends thought, because if you kept reading, his disciples come back and they're kind of like, what are you doing? Like, Jesus, I don't know if you know this, that she's a Samaritan woman, and like, okay. Like, that's his friend's reaction. They're like, oh no, here he is. Like, you're breaking culture code, and they're still not getting it through the brains who Jesus is. But if we really want to live extraordinarily ordinary, take initiative. Have a conversation with somebody. And not for the sake of you, but for the sake of Jesus. And go and turn your Bibles with me to Matthew chapter 4. Matthew chapter 4. And we're going to be talking about, here's the thing that Jesus also knows, is that in order to talk to people, there's a few places that Jesus loved to talk to people. And I think this is important for us to know, is that is work and that is home. Work and home. And the reason I say that again is because one of those people wants you to come to them. Why do you think people want us to come to them? I can tell you why. Like, I don't know if you've ever had this happen, but like, you invite people into your house, right? And like, I have 2 gigantic miniature horse dogs. And so when people come to the house, here's the funny part is like, that's my dog's house. And like, if you don't want to get licked and laid on, like, you probably shouldn't come to the house. But that's my comfort zone, right? Like, I feel like you step into my house, you're in my comfort zone. This is where, I come over and I'm relaxed and my dogs are all over me and my furniture's torn up because I have dogs. But that's my comfort zone. Like, there's no pretending, you're stepping into my place in my zone. And so people want you to come to them because that's where they feel comfortable. They feel comfortable when you come to them. And so in Matthew 4, verse 21 and 22, we see that Jesus is calling of James and John. And it says, and going, immediately they left their nets and followed him. And going from there, he saw the 2 brothers, James, the son of Zebedee, and John, his brother, in the boat with Zebedee, their father, mending their nets, and he called them. Immediately they left the boat and their father and followed him. And so we see in that first part there that there he is. He's calling people at work. Now, most of you don't have the privilege of going and visiting people at work. I fortunately do. And so there's times that I go and, I don't want to say bug people at work, but I go and visit them at work. And we laugh and, I try to pray with them and just talk with them because that's their place. And if I want to get to know somebody, like, I want to get to know them. I want to get to know who they are and what they're about and what they do, and I want to know their environment. What makes them tick, where they feel comfortable. And so you see there's Jesus going, and he's going to the work saying, hey, you know what? Go ahead. Here, I'm going to come to you. I'm going to go to your, it would have been so much easy if Jesus would have been like, you know what? I'm the Son of God. I'm just going to kick back here on the beach, and when they come back in, then I'll call. No, he went to their work and said, hey, come and follow me. And then the other thing is in Matthew 9, verse 9, and this is probably one of my absolute favorite verses in the Bible. Matthew 9, verse 9 says, as Jesus passed on from there, he saw a man called Matthew sitting at the tax booth, and he said to him, follow me, and he arose and followed him. So again, we see Jesus going to the workplace saying, hey, Matthew, you're at this tax booth, come follow me. And here's what I love. And as Jesus reclined at the table in the house, behold, many tax collectors and sinners came and were reclining with Jesus and his disciples. When the Pharisees saw this, they said to his disciples, "Why does your teacher eat with tax collectors and sinners?" But when he heard it, he said, "Those who are well have no need for a physician, but those who are sick. Go and learn what this means. I desire mercy and not sacrifice, for I cannot call the righteous, but the sinners." And so we see Jesus calls Matthew, and we see that from there they go to his house. And here's why I love this. Jesus goes to this party. Like Matthew's like, I'm not only going to invite you, Jesus, but I'm going to invite a bunch of my rowdy sinner friends. We're all going to come party with you. And Jesus reclined at the table, a sign of relaxation. Like Jesus is in his element. He's like, yeah, bring them on in, brother. Like, yeah, we can talk to these people. Come on. Like, bring them in. Let's party. Let's talk. And you see the religious people come in and they're like, excuse me, that's not right. And Jesus is like, no, we're good here. We're good. Because he went to their home. Because to be extraordinarily ordinary, we have to be comfortable in other people's homes and their places of work. And you say, well, Jared, that's really weird for me to go to somebody's house. But is it? Is it really that strange and that odd? Like, I have been to many of your guys' house. I have, you guys have fixed me miraculous food, even though I'm very picky at eating. But you guys have been gracious enough to, fix me my favorite food. And that's the thing. Like, it's not strange. It's not out of the ordinary. What makes it ordinary is when we think we have to be something that we're not. We think like, oh, I'm going over to this person's house. Hold on, let me make sure I'm. Hey, like no, like we just need people to be ordinary. We need people to be real because here's Jesus kicked back at the table, relaxing. It wasn't like Jesus had his little pulpit up there and was like, okay, sit down, boys and girls, we're going to talk. No, he's sat back, he's reclining, he's relaxed, talking to people. Talking to people. And that's the thing, is how many of us take that initiative to not only talk to somebody, but go to their house or their place of work and talk to them. Now here's the thing is I know you're like, well, Pastor, that's easy for you to say. That's what you get paid to do, right? Like, I just know that's going through somebody's mind right now. That's what you get paid to do, is go talk to people at their house. I guess, like, I think I get paid to love on people. Like, I don't really think that's a job description of go to somebody's house, but I can tell you it's a blessing to go to people's houses. And I know I've said this before, and one of the things I love to do at people's houses, and I've done this at almost everybody's house, is especially if they have pictures on the wall, like I love to go to the pictures. Especially you see like the old photos, and I meant to get a picture of a young Jimmy and stick up here, like when he was younger, and like all like I forgot to take one, but that's the thing. If you look at like these photos of like the past, of how awesome, and you look at these people and you're like, nice, like look at you all stuff. And I love to look at that because it tells a history. It tells of people who they were in their journey to where they're at. But if we don't take the time to get to know them or to visit them, we're never going to know that journey. We're never going to be able to look at that and be like, man, look at Jimmy, that stud muffin. Man, now I know why Diane was, right? Like, now I know why Diane was all hooked in. Like, Jimmy was like this poor innocent guy just walking through, and Diane just attacked him. So that's another story for a different day, though. I'm not going to share their marriage story, so that if you want to know, you'll have to ask them. I'm way off subject, just so you guys know. But we have to be comfortable going to talk to people in their houses and in their workplaces, because here's the thing is I used to always love when people would come into my workplace. Of course, I worked at an automotive place, so I've seen people all the time. Because here's the reason why. Is the same person I am on Sunday is the same person I am on Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday. And that's still true today. Like, you see me out, and you'll see me out, and I have my shorts on and my t-shirt on, or I'll have, my cargo's on, and it's like I'm the same person. Like, you see me out, and I'll be like, hey, I'll be drinking my milkshake, and like, but it's the same person. You're not going to see somebody on Sunday and then be on Tuesday and be like, who's that guy? No, like, it's the same, bald guy bouncing around, making dumb jokes. Like, it's the same thing. But that's why I think it's key that we have to go visit people in their homes and at their work. It's because we need them to see that I'm the same. That Sunday isn't a show, but this is real life. It's real life. And the last thing I want is turn into John 8. John 8, and this is the last point, is to be extraordinarily ordinary. Jesus always tries to establish a connection or a bond with somebody. Always tries to, and here's the thing, and especially in today's society, like, this is so rare. And it breaks my heart. It really does break my heart. Like, you just don't see this anymore because it's either you're over here or you're over here, and like, for some reason nobody wants to go to the center, and they don't want to have a connection, and they don't want to find common ground. They just want to find the ground that they stand opposite on. And like, how heartbreaking is that? And so in John 8, we see the woman caught in adultery. John 8, verse 1, but Jesus went to Mount Olives early in the morning. He came again to the temple. All the people came to him, and he sat down and taught them. The scribes and the Pharisees brought a woman who had been caught in adultery, and placing her in the midst, they said to him, Teacher, this woman has been caught in the act of adultery. Now, in the law of Moses commanded us to stone such women. So what do you say? This they said to him to test him, that they might have some charge to bring against him. Jesus bent down and wrote with his finger on the ground. And as they continued to ask him, he stood up and said to them, Let him who is without sin among you be the first to throw the stone at her. And once more he bent down and wrote on the ground. But when they heard this, they went away one by one, beginning with the older ones, and Jesus was left alone with the woman standing before him. Jesus stood up and said to her, Woman, where are they? Has no one condemned you? She said, No, no one, Lord. And Jesus said, Neither do I condemn you. And now, from now on, go and sin no more. But you see those two questions. Where are they at? Where are they at? Where are they at? Where did everybody go? Where did everybody go? Where did they all go, and has no one condemned you? And so I find this interesting, again, as you see Jesus catches this lady in the middle of the sin, and these questions of, where did everybody go? Where did everybody go? And here's the reason why that question to me is so powerful, especially in today's society, because you think, like, ordinary people and ordinary Christians, like, we should be known by our love, right? Yeah, like, to me, like, that should be the flag that we bear is the flag of love. And so, where did they all go? And here's the thing: is I see people's Facebooks for all over the place, and I know people who are like, "Yeah, I'm a Christian," but like, if you've seen the stuff they say or the stuff they post, you would think, "Are you sure about that?" Like, because where is grace? Where is mercy? Where are you trying to find common ground at? Because I don't know about you, but as me, as a follower of Jesus, like, I want to bring people into the fold of Jesus. Like, I want to bring them I want them to meet the shepherd. I don't want to be like, I'm sorry, you believe differently than me. You need to go now. Like, that's not it. Like, he starts asking these questions because he wants to establish this bond with her, this common ground with her. Jesus knows, like, hey, I know no one's got anything on me because I'm perfect. But where did y'all people go? Is nobody left here to condemn you? Where did they all go? And so all of a sudden, I imagine in this woman's face, like, you could just see the relief on her face of, like, they all left. And now I'm here with you. And then I don't know about you, but maybe she was like this little kid to the dad moment. Like, you're like, uh-oh, now dad's home. But Jesus wasn't like that. But he wasn't like that. He was gentle with her. He was gentle. He wasn't, he wasn't harsh with her. He was gentle with her. And so when we start asking questions about people, we need to start looking for common ground. And so here's why I say this. This last week, I was at the hospital with Aaron and Holly and their family as Holly was having heart surgery. And this woman, if you want to show the picture real quick, so you can see this nice woman Diana there in the middle. This lady, she was a sweetheart of a lady. So we go there, right? And we get there, and you can imagine me and Aaron being in the same room with each other. Like we're a little loud, we're a little, we're laughing, and everything's a joke. And Diana's talking to Holly, and Holly's like, keep an eye on these two. And she goes, that's fine. You guys can call me mom. Now, I don't know if mom really meant for us to call her mom, but I'm a literal person. She said, call me mom. Aaron's a literal person. So throughout the whole entire day, we called Diana mom. We asked mom questions. We bugged mom when she'd walk by, like kids would do. But we took the initiative to talk to mom. And so it was awesome just throughout the day, the conversation we had with her and going through and really finding this common ground with her. And it was interesting as we're down in the cafeteria. I said, you know what we need to do? We need to buy mom a Mother's Day gift because we have missed lots of years of Mother's Days. And I feel like a horrible son. And Aaron's like, this is perfect. Let's go get mom a Mother's Day card. So we go to the gift shop. Unfortunately, it's not Mother's Day season, and so we're like, now what? So we find this mother's card, and it talks about how we've had 1,000 memories with mom. And we're reading this, and we're like, well, this isn't going to work. We don't have 1,000 memories of mom. And Aaron goes, I got the solution. So he takes a pen, and he writes 3 memories. And he marks out all the I's, and he puts we, which I thought was very nice of him. And then he drew a picture of 2 bald guys, times it by 2, and then he signed our names, Aaron, the most loved, and Jarrett, the other son. I didn't get a chance to sign my card. I'll be honest, I was a little upset, and we bought her a balloon that said thank you. But here's the awesome part, right? So we go up there, and we're scared because we're like, we don't know what time mom gets off work. Like horrible kids, we don't know. And so we go up there, and I have this thank you balloon that's like, I don't know, it's a little bitty balloon. And I go up there, and she just sees me and Aaron. We're like, and she's like, yes, you too. And I was like, we got you a gift. And she was like, are you serious? I'm like, yeah, take the balloon. And Aaron goes, wait, there's more, and slaps the card down. And she starts reading this, and she's laughing and carrying on, and she gives us a hug, and she goes, you know what? She goes, you guys absolutely made my year. She goes, you guys made my year. And like we walked away, and like I don't remember how much money it was. It wasn't that much, but that's the thing of like, what can we do as Christians to be extraordinarily ordinary, to love people, and to show them, hey, you're loved and you're appreciated for exactly what you're doing. I mean, that's mom's job, and you can say, well, that's just her job, Jared, is to, be nice to be. You know how many people are probably rude to this poor lady? And all we did is take all of 5 minutes of our day to try to bring a smile to somebody's face. And it was awesome as she came around at the end, and we loved it because she goes, okay, you two, I got to go home now. And we're like, oh, mom. And I go, can we get a picture of you for my sermon on Sunday? And she goes, absolutely. I would love that. So we got this picture so we could show everybody. But the thing is, it isn't like what me and Aaron did. It's just the whole fact that I want to inspire you guys to do something that maybe you wouldn't normally do, but that's totally ordinary, to bring a smile to somebody's face. Because here's the thing is, I didn't have to bring up, hey, we're Christians, and I didn't know if you know this, but my Savior Jesus. No, it's the whole thing of by our actions, by our love, that she knew something's different with these 2 bald guys. That's the thing. Like she knew like something's different. And then at the end, just to make sure she knew, I was like, can I use this in my message on Sunday? And she's like, yeah, absolutely. That's the thing is we don't have to smack somebody in the head with it, beat them in the face with it, but through our love and through our actions, they should see, hey, something is different. Something's different. And I gave the teens the challenge of, hey, those kids that sit by themselves all the time. Take the initiative to talk to them. As adults, we know somebody that's in our lives. Maybe it's a neighbor, maybe it's a parent, maybe it's an uncle, an aunt, a friend, and we know that, hey, you know what, they're going through a rough time. And maybe you don't have the words to say, but take the initiative to talk with them. Take the initiative to go to their house and just sit and talk and laugh. It doesn't have to be this deep spiritual conversation, but just show them in your heart that you care and that you love them. That you love them. Because we look at this, and when you make a common bond and you stop trying to be perfect and you just are who God made you to be, you can change a heart that can change a nation. It doesn't have to be the big thing. It's the little things that combine to make the big thing. Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, God, as we just